This is where it gets interesting. Assumptions and testing the logic. This is where we're going to look at the external environment, the external factors that could affect the project's progress or success. And we're going to test the log frame. We're going to test the internal logic to see that diagonal connection between the different levels of assumption and progress up the chain of results. And this comes again in the right hand column. Notice this time we start at the bottom. We have what is called a precondition, which is things that need to be true before the activities can take place. And we will have assumptions at precondition level, at output level, and outcome level. You don't always need to have an assumption at the impact level because there's not another level to go to. But the assumption at the impact level is sometimes called a sustainability assumption. But don't worry about that for now. Lazy Luke again. I seem to remember we were going to make him a cup of coffee so he could pass his exams. Great plan. What could possibly go wrong with that plan? Let's look at what we've got, shall we? We have our inputs, the water, the coffee, the sugar, the milk, the kettle, the cup, and the spoon, and the heat source. And we can fill the kettle, boil the water, pour it into the cup, add coffee, milk, sugar, and we're going to make a cup of coffee. But are we guaranteed that he's going to be more alert? If he is more alert, how do we know he's going to study for the exam? And is there anything we need before we can actually make that coffee? Any preconditions? What could possibly go wrong? Think about it. What are the external things that we're depending upon? Take a few moments, pause, think about this, and we'll talk about it in just a moment. We need to boil the water somehow. What if there's a power cut? Then we can't even begin. If we do make the coffee, can we be sure he's going to drink it? Maybe he doesn't like coffee. Maybe he puts it to one side and forgets about it, falls asleep. Maybe he knocks it over. That's not guaranteed either. Now we're saying that the coffee is going to fix it, but perhaps his source of distraction is something else. Maybe he's worried about the future, or he's lost his girlfriend. I don't know. Maybe there's something else on his mind, and maybe we misdiagnosed the problem. And what if he is more alert, but something else happens? He wakes up and he thinks he'll play a computer game. He'll check mail. Or a friend phones and says, "Do you want to go out?" Then he's not going to study. Our precondition, firstly, is that we have some kind of power supply. If our preconditions are true, we can use our inputs, and we can do our activities, and we can make that cup of coffee. But will it make him more alert? Only if he drinks it. But what if he does drink it, but he's distracted by something else? Or something else pulls him away from his study books? Then, only if those are true, he can study better for the exam. So we need power, so we can use the inputs to do the activities, to make the coffee. He has to drink the coffee to become more alert. And as long as he's not worried about anything else and he's not distracted by anything else, then he can study. And here we are back at the IDP camp, and your task is to identify the preconditions and the assumptions at the output and outcome level that will ensure that the project does contribute to improved health. Questions to think about. Before we can start, what needs to be true? What needs to happen in the external environment before we can begin our activities? Now we have our outputs: better water and sanitation, reduced overcrowding, increased awareness. What needs to be true for those to bring us to the outcome? Improved living conditions. And what needs to be true for improved living conditions, our project outcome, to contribute to improved health? The impact. Pause, and give this your very, very best shot. I'll talk to you in just a moment. So we have our team ready, we have our equipment, we're all ready to go, we have our plan. But what do we need to be true before we can begin? We need to get into the camp. There could be political reasons, there could be problems getting in there. We need to firstly have permission to work there. And very often our preconditions are political, they could be seasonal, weather related, they could be conflict related. But they are external factors that have to be true before we can even get started. Assuming those are true and we can carry out our activities, we get our outputs. But what could stop those outputs improving living conditions? What if there was an influx of more IDPs? Right now we have 5,000 people in the camp. What if 3,000-4,000 more people arrived? That could slow us down. And also we need to ensure that the hygiene of the latrines and the kitchens and so on is maintained. Can we rely on the camp population to do that? Again, that's an assumption. If those assumptions are true, what could prevent improved living conditions contributing to improved health? There might be an unexpected outbreak, an epidemic, in which case the health status will not improve, even though living conditions did. And what about if the local government sees that we're doing such a great job and they decide that, okay, let's leave it to you. Remember, we're relying on them to provide healthcare, nutrition, and other kinds of support to the IDPs. So we're also relying on local government to maintain its level of support. So looking at this, we have a precondition where the local government gives us access, we take our inputs, we do our activities, and we achieve our outputs, but only if the number of IDPs does not increase significantly. And if they maintain the hygienic standards of the latrines, then we're going to see the immediate improvement of living conditions. But for that to contribute to improved health, there has to be no unanticipated outbreaks of epidemics such as dysentery or dengue, and the government has to continue to provide the support it has been doing. That's how the logic fits together. So our assumptions tell us that if we have access, we can do our activities. If we can do our activities, we get our outputs. But if the number of IDPs does not increase, then we get improved living conditions. And only if there are no epidemics and the government continues to support us, then we get improved health, the impact.